Hello, everyone. This is my second live and first live video of 2023. My name is Elana Greenway Faniel. I'm an attorney and owner of Greenway Law Firm, PA, here in the Tampa Bay area. Wanted to talk today about turning that side hustle, turning that business idea into a reality in the new year. And if you, during this broadcast, if you have any um, questions or comments, feel free to comment in the chat. But it's 2023. It's a new year. I know we're at this point we're getting close to the end of January, heading into February. But in the new year, you start thinking about those goals that you had. You thinking about businesses that you wanted to start. Maybe you wanted to start a business last year, 6 months ago. You said you were going to do the things that you needed to do to get the business together and haven't done it. So I just want to provide kind of a foundational understanding of the things that you need to think about, the things that you need to plan for in order to set up that new business for success. So uh, really, one of the first things that you want to consider is registering your business with the state that you're operating in. I'm in Florida, so I'll be talking specifically about Florida. But but you want to register your business. I've gotten questions or seen questions about whether I should register my business in the state in which I'm operating. Like, oh, you don't have to do that. Wait until you start earning some money. Things of that nature. And I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't wait until you start earning some money in order to register your business with the state that you're operating in. Because one, yes, you're gonna incur a cost. Most states, and I know in the state of Florida, you have to pay a fee every year to keep your business, registered and active. But it is a necessary business expense. But I wouldn't wait till you reach a certain revenue point before registering your business. So what does that mean? What does registering your business mean? That means going on usually the Secretary of State's website. Here in Florida, you can go on sunbiz.org and you are starting a new business. So you are either filing what's called articles of organization if you decide that you want to start an LLC, or you're filing articles of incorporation if you are starting a corporation. I won't get too much into the differences between the two, but I will say that an LLC is a simpler entity form and doesn't have as many requirements as far as the structure of it. And so it's easier type of entity um, to operate essentially than a corporation. So typically what you're doing is you're filing articles of organization within the state, Secretary of State's website. A lot of times you can do this online. You're putting in the information as far as who are the officers of the organization. Who is your registered agent, meaning who is accepting service of process on behalf of the company, meaning if the company gets sued, who is the person or the company that's going to be served a complaint, essentially, if the company gets sued. So you're documenting all of that. You're putting all of that information in your articles of organization. One of the biggest benefits of registering your business in the state of Florida is it creates, or whatever state you're operating in, but it creates a barrier essentially between the assets of your company and your own personal assets. You want to separate the two, right? If you just start your your mom and pop shop, you're selling ice cream, for instance, right? And you just say, you know what, I'm going to buy the ice cream, I'm going to buy the cones, and I'm just going to sell it, no problem. And you don't have a business registered, and you're just using a particular name, let's say Elana's ice creams, right? So it's Elana's ice creams, I'm selling ice cream. You're somewhere and somebody eats your ice cream, something was wrong with it, I don't know, and they get sick, and they're wanting to come after your business, because they think that you're the cause of them getting sick. So at that point, you don't there is no I mean, there is no barrier, right? There's no legal barrier between the business that you started and your own personal assets. So they are going to go after you personally. And so what a business structure does, it provides that, essentially, that barrier, right? And it separates those assets. So you know, generally speaking, your personal assets would be protected. And so they'd only be able to go after the business. That's one of the biggest reasons why you want to when you start a company, you want to um, register your business with the state in which you're operating. So definitely register your business. I have a webinar, I believe, on the website, www.greenwayfirm.com, that goes through the steps on how you can register your LLC in the state of Florida. So if you're wanting more information about how to go about those steps, check out my website, check out the webinar. It's free. And I go through the steps, on how to register your business within the state of Florida. So after you've gotten your business registered, the next thing you want to do is get your EIN, your employee identification number, from the IRS. Why do you need this? This is the way in which the IRS identifies your business. This is the way in which states identify your business. It's a way in which a lot of different organizations and entities identify your business. But of course, most importantly, the IRS. So you want to have an EIN. You're going to need the EIN in order to open up a bank account. So you want to make sure that you get that EIN. You can go on irs.gov. You can go and you should be able to find the application, to the online application to get your EIN. So then at that point, you're able to um, open up your bank account, right? Your business bank account. And you want to make sure that those assets, that money is separated, right? So you want to put money into your business account to get started. You want to get into the mind frame of separating those funds. So then the next thing, you want to make sure that you have whatever organizational documents that need to be in place. So for instance, if you own an LLC, you want to have an operating agreement in place. What is an operating agreement? It is that document that outlines what the organizational structure is. What are the duties and roles of the officers? What are the duties and roles of the owners, which are called members in an LLC? You want to make sure that that's in place. Especially if you are going into business with a partner, you're going to business with someone else or another business or whatnot, you need to have an operating agreement in place, because it also outlines the split, right? The split of profits and losses. What is that percentage of ownership? What is that percentage of the split? And it goes through the structure and how things generally should be run, in your business. So it's very important. It's critical to have an operating agreement in place if you own an LLC. If it's a corporation, you want to make sure that you have bylaws in place. It's a similar document. It's just a different structure, and so you want to make sure that either one of those documents are in place. You want to have that in place. You don't want to be scrambling, you know, when you're trying to bring on a partner, or you're trying to sell your business, or you're trying to get a loan, or you're trying to do these things, and all of a sudden you've got to get bylaws or one of those organizational documents in place. Do it in the beginning. Do it in the beginning, count it as a business expense, include it in the budget that you're going to be creating, include it and get it done. Trust me, get that done. Also, you want to make sure that you get any licensing, that you need. Certain professions in the state of Florida, you have to be licensed with the state in order to run a particular business. So you want to make sure that you have any licenses that your business needs, and that you keep that license up to date. And you keep any changes, address changes, things like that, up to date with, with that department of the state of Florida. Also, um, you the next step I would say is to make sure you have a plan in place, right? Whether it's a formal, business plan that you paid a lot of money for someone to draft, or you put this together, you want to have a plan in place. And one of the, a couple of things that you want to focus on in developing the plan, one is marketing and advertising, right? So, what is it, a product? Is it a service that you're providing? Um, how are you going to market that to your potential customers or your potential clients? Are you going to advertise? And how are you going to advertise? Are you advertising on social media? Are you advertising elsewhere? You want to have a plan in place. How do you get in front of your potential clients and customers, right? Then you want to think about your finances, right? What are your financial goals? Not just, I want to make $1 million, I want to make $2 million, but what are those financial goals, and how do you what kind of sales do you have to have in order to meet those financial goals? And also, you want to make sure that you're connected with an accountant or a CPA, and have a bookkeeper as well, because as you continue to run your business, you're going to want someone there who's able to advise you on tax issues, but you're also going to want someone who's able to help you organize your books, so that you can make those financial decisions, because you know exactly what's going in and what's coming out. But also, you want to have things in place so when it's time for your business to file those tax returns and things, everything is in place, and you don't have to go searching for receipts and paperwork from throughout the year. At the beginning of the next year when you have to file your tax returns, everything is in order. So you want to make sure you have that in place, and of course, have a budget in place. How much money would you allot? What percentage of revenue would you allot to these particular areas, to marketing, to advertising, to staff and things of that nature that you would need for your particular business? I will also say, you want to think about fulfillment, as far as planning goes. If you're providing a service, what are those standard operating procedures for, how those services are fulfilled? If it's a product, how, the development process, you want to think about that, developing the product, and then also, how are you getting the product to the particular purchaser or the customer, and having those procedures in place as well. You want to make sure that you kind of outline all of those things and think about those things beforehand. Essentially, that doesn't mean that everything is going to go according to plan, and the plan will change, but it's good. It's definitely a good idea to have those things in place, when you're in that planning stage. I'll also say, you want to, after you think about planning, you've got your business structure up, you're in that planning stage, you've got your organizational documents together. You want to think about what other kind of contracts your company might need. If you're providing a service, a lot of times you're going to want to have a contract in place between your company and a customer or a client. If you're providing a service, you want to have that in place beforehand. You don't want to wait until someone's mad, because you didn't do, or they think that you didn't do what you were supposed to do. and you didn't have a written contract in place that spells out, this is the service that I'm providing. This is how much you're going to pay me. This is when you're going to pay me. You want to have those things together. You want to have those contracts in place. Doesn't mean it has to be, a 30-page contract. It can be a pretty simple contract, but you do want to have those contracts in place. Especially if you're providing a service, a lot of times you're going to want to have a contract in place. And don't wait till something, a problem arises before you get a contract in place. And I'm an attorney, so of course I'm going to tell you not to do this. Do not go on Google and try to piece together a contract. Don't do it. Don't do that. You want to get advice from someone like me. You want someone like me to draft a contract that is tailored to your business, that is tailored to how you run your business. Because every business is different. Every person that's providing a service or a product is different. And yes, there's kind of standardized language in a contract, but you want to make sure that it's tailored to you and your business. So you can't, there's not a one size fits all for contracts. So you want to make sure that you're getting advice and that you're having an attorney look over and draft those contracts that will be in place for your business. Okay, do not go on Google and put together the contract. I'll say that again. Do not do that. So you've got at this point, you've got your business registered. In this case, in the state of Florida, you've got your EIN. You've got either your articles of organization or your bylaws in place. You're planning for your marketing and advertising. You're thinking about your financial goals, and you have those financial advisors in place. You're thinking about and putting together your standard operating procedures so that your customers and your clients can get the service and the product that you're providing. And you're getting those contracts in place that you need. Whether those contracts are with clients or customers, or they're with vendors, they can be contracts in place for a number of people and types of companies. You want to make sure that you have those things in place. And then the last part that I want to discuss, the last piece of how you set your business up for success, is protecting those assets, protecting your assets. So one of the things you do to protect your assets is to have contracts in place, right? Because that's one of the ways in which you protect yourself and protect your company, is to have, written, a written contract in place. But there's other ways to protect your assets, right? So you have contracts in place, also insurance. Okay, you want to do a little research and see what insurance you need to have in place for your particular business. In my case, I have insurance to cover me because I'm a lawyer. I have professional liability insurance, but there's different kinds of insurance that you can have. You can have general liability insurance to protect your company assets. And there's other kinds of insurance as well, depending upon the type of product or service that you are providing, and depending upon what type of business it is. So you want to do some research and make sure that you have insurance policies in place. When we're talking about insurance, typically we're talking about protecting what people generally deem business assets, right? So land, property, real property, buildings, equipment, things of that nature. That's typically what we think about when we hear the word assets. But one of the assets that I help clients and clients protect are those intellectual property assets. So of course, one of my specialties is in protecting intellectual property and helping clients monetize intellectual property. So that's the next step. How do you protect, not only those kind of standard assets, but how do you protect intellectual property assets? So one of the assets that I come across, or the intellectual property assets that I usually come across, are copyrights, and trademarks. And so, one, copyrights are, copyright law essentially protects creative works. And creative works can range from books and songs and artwork and paintings and choreography, all kinds of choreography. I'm sorry, I'm saying choreography. Choreography. It can, run the gamut. So, you know, copyright law protects creative works. So if you have a business that is creating those kinds of works for others, or you're displaying those kinds of works, you want to make sure that you're thinking about, how do I protect those assets from being infringed upon, meaning copied. Um, the best way to do that is to register your works with the Copyright Office. And I won't get into the kind of the pros and cons of registering versus not registering right now, but suffice it to say, you need to register those works with the Copyright Office. You cannot enforce you can't enforce your rights to your works unless it's registered. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about that. What are some of those works? Is it photographs? Is it your writings? Is it your blog articles? Is it, it can be a number of things. Is it your songs? You want to make sure that you're thinking about protecting those works before you're supplying it to the public. So that's copyrights. The other part is trademarks. One thing I want to make sure I make clear is, I hear a lot of times, I want to trademark this name. Okay, I want to trademark this name. And I say, well, essentially, as soon as you start using a particular name or a logo or a slogan in connection with a product or a service, you have a trademark. You have rights to that, to that name or that slogan or that phrase. Now, the extent of those rights, that's the question. Like, what are those? What exactly are those rights? And how much protection do you have? But as soon as you start using it, right? So as soon as it's going back to my ice cream, my ice cream business, right? That I spoke about before. If I have Elana's ice creams, that's not a very good name because it's descriptive. It's very descriptive. But if I have, so there's not a lot of protection for descriptive kind of names. But if I have Elana's ice creams, I don't register it anywhere. I just start using the name. I love that name, Elana's ice creams. It really just, it has a little razzle dazzle to it. So Elana's ice creams, I start using this name. I put it on, I put it on the cones that I'm selling my ice cream on. It's on my truck. It's on my ice cream truck. Everyone knows, oh, that's Elana's ice creams. They see and understand and acknowledge that connection between that name and the product that I'm supplying, which is the ice cream. So I have a trademark. Okay. No, it's not registered, but I started using it. So I have rights to it. Those rights are limited, but I have rights to it. So when you're thinking about, how do I protect this name? How do I protect this logo? How do I protect this phrase under trademark law? First, you have to understand that you already have rights to it if you've started using it and you've made that essentially name available to the public, right? You've started advertising and selling your product or service in connection with that name. You've started using it. But there's ways to increase the level of protection that you have if you register it. Okay, so if you're able to register it with the US Patent and Trademark Office, meaning that you are providing a service or product that has been used, the phrase is in commerce, it's being used, across state lines, nationwide. It's not limited geographically to one state. Then, then you should be thinking about filing an application with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Um, if your services or your products are limited, you're only providing them within the state of Florida, then you want to think about registering that trademark within the state of Florida. Every state has its own, registration database. And what is the benefit of registering, right? Because I said you already have rights to it. The benefit of registering is to put everybody on notice. You are the exclusive owner of this particular name. No one else can use this name in connection with the products and services that you're providing. So that notice is important, right? It's important because when you've got someone else who's looking to see, can I use this name, or can I use this slogan, or can I use this in the same, they can look in that registry database and see that there's someone else who's already using it, or what the name that they're coming up with is similar to the name that you have, so they can't use it. So that notice is very important. But please realize that you have rights to your trademark as soon as you start using it. Like I said, it's limited, but you still have rights to it. The registration is the icing on the cake. It's another tool in your toolbox. I would say, it's necessary in many instances, but just know that you have rights to a trademark as soon as you start using it. The last part that I want to talk, the last type of intellectual property asset that I want to talk about protecting is trade secrets. So a trade secret is essentially anything that provides monetary value to your company that you essentially do not, it gives you that competitive edge, and it's not something that you don't want to share this with anyone else, because this provides a competitive edge. A good example is our recipes. Recipes typically are trade secrets. They usually are not protectable by any other kind of intellectual property. But how do you keep it secret? You like Coca-Cola, you won't know what that recipe is for the Coca-Cola sodas. You have to keep it secret. Anyone that comes in contact with, for example, that recipe, they've got to sign a confidentiality agreement, right? They're not going to share that recipe with anyone else. You're making sure that, nobody else that shouldn't have access to it has access to it. It could be a customer list. It could be like I said, it could be a recipe. It could be a customer or a client list. It could be a process in which, it gives you a competitive edge. It could be a process that you use that is not public knowledge. So the thing, or the aspect of a trade secret that makes it valuable is the fact that it remains secret, right? So if it's something that comes out, then its value decreases. It's no longer a trade secret. And so, essentially you'd be suing someone for misappropriation of a trade secret. So you want to think about, are there things in your business that you want to keep secret, whether it's a process, it's a customer, a client list, it's a recipe, it's something else that is not public knowledge, but that gives you a competitive edge. And you want to make sure that you have policies and procedures and confidentiality agreements in place that keep it essentially secret, right? So that's it in a nutshell. I don't think I had any comments or any questions or anything like that. So let me show my so if you do have any questions, if you want to learn more about any of these things that I talked about, you can book a consultation with me, and I'd be happy to walk you through these steps. So you can contact me via email, you can call the office. But in a nutshell, Again, starting from the top, you want to register your business with, in this case, the state of Florida. You want to register your business in the state in which you're operating. You want to make sure that you get your EIN. You want to make sure that you have those organizational documents in place, those articles of organization, those bylaws. You want to make sure that you're licensed. So if you need a license to operate the business, the type of business that you're wanting to operate, that you're licensed. And then you want to make sure that you have a plan in place for marketing and advertising, and your financial plan, and how you're fulfilling your services, and your products. And then you want to think about how you're protecting your assets. Um, you have contracts in place, you have the insurance that you need, and you're protecting your intellectual property. All right, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via email or by phone. And thank you all for listening. And yeah, till next time, take care.